Hi everyone, my name is Anna, and I'm here with my boyfriend Craig, who I've been in a relationship with him for five and a half years now, and Craig is diagnosed with ADHD. Honey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, there's not a whole lot to say other than what she just mentioned. My name is Craig Wilson, and I've been in a relationship with Anna for a little over 5 years. I was diagnosed with ADHD at the beginning of 2017 after a major car accident made me question some things.
And we'll specifically talk about that car accident and our discovery of ADHD in future episodes. So the whole reason we want to talk about this topic is because I feel like being in a relationship with ADHD is very challenging. And there are so many resources, videos, podcasts, books about being ADHD, but not enough resources talking about being the partner to an ADHD person. So I really want to share what our relationships, ups and downs, and how we deal with daily challenges. And that's why we're doing this podcast. And you're listening our pilot episode. The whole reason we want to do this podcast is because a real life story about our fridge broke down during quarantine, and we'll just tell you this life story and walk you through what kind of challenge it really feels like to live with ADHD. So if you're listening to this podcast, this year is 2020 and everybody's in quarantine because of pandemic. And one day our fridge broke down. Because we're in a pandemic, I immediately just freaking out. And I feel this huge anxiety just creeping in me. Not only because the fridge broke down during pandemic is a crisis, but also because, here's the important thing, is living with an ADHD partner for 5 years, it makes me realize and makes me always feel when life responsibilities happen, usually it falls on me. The reason is either he's not going to take care of it because maybe he forgot about it, or he got distracted or any other things, or he does take care of it, but with a lot of mistakes along the way I have to fix later. So when something breaks down in our life, I always go to anxiety mode. And honey, do you want to talk about when you heard the fridge broke down in our apartment? What were your thoughts and feelings?
Well, I knew it was something that needed to be fixed. My philosophy was let's wait a day because Anna did change the temperature, and then from what I read, it said it takes 24 hours for the temperature to cool back down, and it was let's explain how the refrigerator broke. It was just warm inside the refrigerator. Nothing was working anymore. It was warm, but the temperature had been turned up, and so I wanted to give it 24 hours to see if it would cool down, and it did not.
So once the fridge didn't work next day, we actually had an argument. The argument was about me accusing him for not taking responsibilities around the house. I have to do everything in the house. And he complaining that I don't give him the opportunity to take care of things. So I was like, okay, you want to take care of this? I will let you take care of this. And then how did you take care of it?
Well, I called, we bought the refrigerator used. So we went back to that same place that we bought the refrigerator, and we called them, and I talked to them, and I explained what was happening. and we got a repairman to come back, we scheduled a repairman to come over and take a look. And he explained, I don't remember what the piece was called, but there's a piece in the back of the refrigerator at the bottom, which was some kind of like motor fan. And he replaced it, and that was about it.
Okay, so for whoever who is listening, especially for those people who are living with an ADHD partner, I want to share my feelings, and I hope you could comment on the feelings, or let me know if you have the same struggles. Is that the second I decided to give him this job, I already knew what he would miss out. I already knew he probably missed out to, he probably will forget to ask for a receipt. He probably will forget to ask if there's any warranty, and he probably won't negotiate the price. And for the record, we bought the fridge for $200. It's pretty cheap for a used one. And I was thinking, okay, if something broke down with the fridge, we shouldn't be spending more than $100 to fix it, because the whole price was $200, right? And we called the same store where we bought the fridge. So I was budgeting around 50 to 80 tops for fixing the fridge. But when I decided to give him this task, I already knew the price will be high, because I knew he wouldn't negotiate. So I was sleeping in the room, but not really sleeping. I was listening to what's going on, and I heard he says, okay, 120. My heart just dropped. I'm like, oh my God, that's expensive. But I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to come out to negotiate with the fridge worker. I thought we could just talk about this later. So when I came out, I'm like, babe, 120 is way too expensive than what we originally bought the price. And also, there's no warranty. You didn't ask for warranty, and there's no receipt. If the fridge is still not working tomorrow, what we should do? Can you tell me why those thoughts didn't go through your mind? I feel like ADHD people, they do things very reactive. The fridge people came in, and they react with the whole workflow. But for me, when I take care of things, I automatically would think, okay, the receipt, the warranty, the price. I would say, hey, before you even start, you need to give me estimate how much money it's gonna be. You can't just fix it and tell me $1,000. I'm not going to pay for it. So I feel like how I do things is very, very different than how he does things. So baby, why you didn't think about warranty and the receipt? And do you think those things are important?
Well, so I actually want to go back, just take a couple steps back. I want to talk about the price. If you were to ask me today, if $120, I would rather pay, if the goal is not to be spent over $100, I'd rather pay $20 extra than take the time to go look for a new refrigerator, take out all the food. I would rather pay for my time being available. For me, it's a bigger headache to start calling around, especially during a pandemic, let alone without the pandemic, the quarantine, calling around looking for a new used refrigerator that fits. It just seems like days and days and days of work for $20. I would rather prioritize. I'd rather spend that extra $20. The warranty and the receipt, I admit, is something that maybe I could have asked for on the spot. I didn't. And I'm curious, though, if whoever's listening to this, if you can put it in the comments, whether you're ADHD or not, how many people have gone through a similar situation, or how many. I'm also very curious if there's any non-ADHD people who don't automatically think, oh, let me get a receipt and warranty, because my personal experience, my personal life experience tells me that a lot of people are very laxed on those type of things. Whether they should be or not is a different question. I do agree with Anna in saying that, yeah, it's something that should have been asked. It's something that was definitely needed. But I'm very curious to see what other people's experiences are.
Fair enough. And since you mentioned about commenting to us, I just want to insert really quick. You can find us on social media. My handle is Anna Pan Films, which is ANNAPANFILMS, Anna Pan Films. And I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram. They're all the same handle. Please leave us comments, message us, DM us if you are living in a relationship with ADHD, because we share a lot of similar issues. And what's your social media handle, baby?
Yeah, you can find me at the Derbied one. So it's the THE Derbied DERBIED and then ONE. And Twitter, Instagram. I even have a Facebook page with that name, but I never check it. But Twitter, Instagram. And if you want to hashtag ADHD or ADHD podcast or ADHD, just put hashtag ADHD in it so we know what it's in reference to.
Yeah, we really look forward to hearing from you and if you share the similar struggles in life. So back to the fridge issue. I think this fridge issue is very typical case study of what we've been struggling in life as partners. I can like to some degree agree that you said you don't want to spend all those time on researching this and that. But what about asking the worker how much it could be before he gets to work? Because what if he finish work and say it's $500? It will be a big surprise. And before fridge broke down, our sink also broke down, and I fixed it by calling people, asking them to come over. But every plumber I called, I asked them to give me estimate, because that's one of the evaluations of which one I should go to. And the one plumber we got, he came over, he jumped in, want to fix it. I'm like, wait a second, before you jump in, I need to know like how much it should be. Like, so honey, like why? I shouldn't say why. Like, what are your feelings of not asking how much it is before they start?
I don't have a real good reason. I
think that falls into my theory of ADHD people are very reactive.
Yeah.
They react to the situation, and I'm very active. I take actions. I plan things, I manage things, I don't react to the situation. And I do want to point out, I think both minds have pros and cons. I'm not saying, ADHD people are bad, you shouldn't be reactive, you should take charge. They both have pros and cons in different areas. But when it comes to life responsibilities, I do need my partner to take charge, to get on the driver's seat, to be the pilot of life. So I wouldn't feel I have to do everything. If I don't do it, some mistakes will happen. What's your feeling about being reactive?
There's definitely situations where it is... it's exactly what you need. It's the exact type of brain you need, but there's other situations where it's not. And... this like everybody speaks about diversity, and I totally understand, obviously. So I actually Googled and YouTubed a concept that both Anna and I have said in this brain diversity, because I'm sure this can be discussed in another episode, but our brains think and work very differently. And neither person is wrong and neither person is right. It just, in certain situations, there is a better way to handle things. And my brain's works better in a situation that I'm not currently in.
So you're hearing us talking now so calmly, so in harmony. It was not what happened in that day. We had a huge fight that that's one of the biggest fights we had during quarantine. And let's just say this, even though couples who are doing really well before quarantine is a big test and a big challenge of how you can work together. So we had a huge fight back then after the fridge thing happened, and I accused him for didn't take charge, didn't ask for warranty, and basically failed the task with a higher price where we could have been paying less. And we were both very upset. And he always says, when we have a problem, let's focus on the solution, which I actually learned a lot of positive mindset from him, which is always focus on the solution. So I was thinking, okay, what solution I can focus on here that I feel he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, blah, blah, blah. And then I came up with this idea of, why don't we talk about this? Why don't we talk about the struggles, the challenges, the ups and downs in our ADHD relationship? And that's why this pilot episode was born, and why we decided to sit down and do this podcast for all the people who are in the ADHD relationship. I think it could be very useful for us to learn together. And I think positive reinforcement is super important for ADHD people.
Oh, I think positive reinforcement is super important to anybody.
Yeah, especially for you guys, because you guys don't have enough dopamine. We can talk about all the science later in future episodes. But in this episode, we came up with a solution of dealing with life things. I think it could be helpful for you guys out there as well, which is, first of all, you need to tell, after I say this solution, you have to tell me how you think about it. So our solution was, if I let him to handle life things, responsibilities, he can pre-think potential problems and write down them on paper, and then he can brainstorm with me. For example, we're about to get a TV, a 4K HD TV. I think for a lot of HD people will be like, okay, let's get TV, go. Get TV, back, done. But I'm like, no, what about the reviews of the TV? Is a good brand? What about the warranty time of the TV? What about where you get the TV? What about the shipping fee? What about the return policy? You know, a lot of sub-subjects, sub-problems comes with the buying TV itself. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna give this task to my partner, then how about you pre-think what items you need to resolve before you just go, get a TV, come back. It's not that simple. So maybe tell me, like, what's your thoughts of using this method to let you buy TV?
Well, I'm not gonna just speak for me on this. I think I've got a few things. So one, I want to know, guys, tweet, comment, Instagram, whatever, if there's, once again, how common this is with people without ADHD to just be like, oh, this has the best review, I'm going to buy it, and not really sit and do any research. Because sometimes I feel like Anna's super thorough, because my personal level of life experience with people that have been close to me, they don't seem to react the same way unless I missed something. Or maybe it's just because I was a kid. We were all kids, and now that we're adults, people are different. So I'm very curious to know that answer. It'll put things in perspective for me. But the other thing is, when I think about, so yes, I'm very reactive. It is true. I react to a lot of situations. Sometimes it's because I think really fast, and other times it's because I just like impulsively react. And this is a situation where I do know my brain well enough to know that, like, if I sat down and I slowed down for a second and I took my time to analyze and break something down, I can come up with all sorts of situations that could appear. I'm not going to call them problems. I just call them situations. It's like, okay, well, this is what we also got to think about and try to handle before it happens. Because I definitely do that. Like, I can do that in film. I can do that even when writing a story. I can do that in lots of creative pursuits. But in my life situations, I don't always do that very well. I know I'm capable of doing it. I just don't do it. I don't take the time to do it.
I do admit that I am a very thorough person, but I feel like being with my partner who has ADHD really kind of forced me to be even more thorough, because I really have to think for two brains and two lives. Because I know he might miss things here and there, and I need to be extra thorough than usual to take care of those holes.
I totally understand that. I understand where she's coming from. I have empathy for it. I have sympathy for it.
This is not my first relationship. We're both middle-aged couple, right? And he been through relationships. I've been through relationships. In the past, I didn't feel I always in anxiety mode when life things happen, when things needs us to fix, because I feel like usually my partner in the past took care of things, or we take care of things together. But with ADHD, I do have this frustration of, okay, I have to take care of this. Because if I don't, there will be mistakes or nobody's taking care of it. So yes, there are a lot of frustrations. There's been ups and downs. But I also learned a lot, which is the biggest thing I learned is positivity. Because they are ADHD people, they try to focus on solution. At least my partner. I comment, let us know, DM us, let us know if your partner always focus on solution or not. But I feel lucky that my partner always focus on solution. And I hope this is also a good advice for you guys to think about. If you're in an ADHD relationship, you're struggling, let's just focus on solution one step at a time. What do you think?
Amen to that. I don't see any good that comes out of letting a problem just remain a problem and just complaining about the problem or the situation if it's not actually a problem, but try to find a solution. I just think that is the most reactive thing you can do. If you can train your brain to react in that way, okay, there's a problem or a situation, let's find the solution.
Right. So to wrap things up, I think this is our pilot episode. We just want to let you guys know why we decided to do this and what's our thoughts for future about this podcast. We will continue talking about all the issues we have in life living with ADHD partner. And trust me, it's not just fridge breakdown. It's everything. It's the finance, it's the mindset, it's the jobs, it's the not forgetting meetings, it's dealing with Christmas gifts, everything, cooking, cleaning. And we want to get down to business, get all the nitty-gritty. Is that how you say it? Nitty-gritty. By the way, my first language is not English. I am Chinese. My native language is Chinese, so please forgive me if my English is not perfect. It's not perfect. So once again, please DM us, because we do want to find our tribe who, you guys who are also in ADHD relationship. I will put my social media links and Craig's social media links in our podcast description. But once again, I'm Anna Pan. My social media is Anna Pan Films.
And my name's Craig Wilson, and my social media is @thederbied1. I would also, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, but I would also like to, maybe in our next episode, explain to people what ADHD is. For those that may be listening that just know me and you personally that don't have ADHD, it's often misconstrued of what it actually means to be ADHD.
We definitely will get down a very depth of ADHD and give you a chance to share what it feels like to be you, what it feels like to live a life as you. How do you think about? I actually plan the next episode is how did we discover ADHD?
Yeah, because that'll get into the depth of it once we understood what it was. And I will also say this: I think ADHD, in a way, for the relationship, not just for me personally, but for our relationship, as many issues as it may have caused, there's also a lot of blessings, because it's taught Anna and I how to communicate and how to keep our minds open, and it's actually in some ways brought us closer on a like a mental, spiritual, even emotional level, but it definitely causes its fair share of situations.
It doesn't mean we didn't put in tons of work.
But that's also what brought us closer, because we both agreed to put in the work.
We have so many deep talks. We've been to couple therapy. Oh, we'll talk about everything in the future. But next episode coming up is how did we discover ADHD? Because he actually didn't know, and I actually didn't know he has ADHD until, well, just stay tuned. We will talk about every detail of how did we discover ADHD and how that discovery completely changed his life and our life.
Amen. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you. We'll be here very soon.
Stay positive and look for solutions.
Amen.